So let's have a look at some of these programs. So this first example is basically one of my athletes has just wanted to move away from CrossFit and just wanted to move in more into what he's calling hybrid training. So focusing on long distance running and keeping some decent levels of strength. He's wanted to take out the Olympic weightlifting, a lot of the technical gymnastics, and just sort of followed a bit more of a simpler program. And this is something that I've personally done with my programming in the past as well. Sometimes it can be quite nice to actually just, rather than spinning all these plates at once, it can be nice just to say, okay, I've got 2 or 3 different focuses and my training is going in that direction. So the main thing I want to highlight is the conditioning. So in this final week of this block, he's going from 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 conditioning days. So every typical CrossFit program, every sort of session's finishing with some conditioning. Now, one of those was only devoted to running, which was this piece here. So 24 minutes of running, of bike, ski erg, and running. But generally, over the last several months, his Tuesday sessions have been more focused on running. And then on occasion, he's just done like a random run on the weekend. But he's only had this one exposure to running per week. And then in terms of his conditioning, the real hard conditioning is sort of happening on the Monday and then also on the Saturday. And I tend to work off a bit of what I would consider like a high-low sequence or a polarizing sequence. So I don't like to stack, 2 really hard training days or 2 very similar training days next to each other. I try to create some more of a waving approach throughout the week. So moving into his program, the conversation was, okay, what do you have access to within your programming and, in terms of running? And he expressed interest in running 3 times a week and maybe adding in some running into some conditioning that he would do in the gym as well. So upping that to 4 exposures per week, but maybe having, like 3 bigger sessions. And moving from 1 running exposure per week, sometimes 2, like straight into 3, that can be a big ask. And what I said to him was that, okay, well, let's have Tuesdays and Fridays as your big running days. And we'll just leave it at that to start off with. Because let's say, for example, he did actually start to do 3 days a week of running. The first couple of weeks were fine. And then he started to notice that he was just getting some soreness in his lower leg. And then it starts to turn into some, mild shin splints, plantar fasciitis, or whatever it is. If we were to go into that, then it means he's going to be coming away from his running because those issues can be quite hard to rehab and get back into the thing that you actually wanted to do. So it's just not a smart or realistic decision to move from that sort of 1 time a week of running into 3 or more times a week of running. So we're sticking with the 2 exposures per week. And one of the things that we'll look to do in the coming weeks is just only increase his total running volume by about 10% week on week. There might be times when he's just sort of staying at the same volume. And his running is for the Tuesday session, it's a little bit similar. We're just taking out the other machines, but he's working on sort of these shorter durations, more interval based, more pacing work. And then for the Friday, he's doing just a long distance run. And this is what I'm sort of considering to be the same as his like old Saturday sessions where he would do a CrossFit throwdown workout. We're just moving that now, and he's doing that for a run instead.